Hello, Aaron Ninness here, your loan pro from Denver, Colorado, with another installment of How Much Mortgage Can I Afford? Today we're going to be diving into a state of the market, basically a look at Denver's market as it stands right now and how that might affect you in your buying. Just some things to think about. As always, if you like the information, make sure you like, subscribe, follow, whatever you're watching it on. Keep tuning in because this is a weekly series and we want to keep getting you the information on a weekly basis. Thanks for watching. Enjoy this episode of How Much Mortgage Can I Afford? Well, thanks again for joining me for another episode of How Much Mortgage Can I Afford? When we talk about the real estate market, there's a lot of information out there, and I want to dive into it a little bit, take a little bit off of the product knowledge, and dive into what the market looks like. A good friend and associate of mine, Bryan Zerr, who owns Greenwood Estates right here in the Denver Tech Center, crunched some numbers for me. He is a numbers guy in addition to being an awesome real estate agent. In fact, if you're looking in the Denver Tech Center, he's a great person to look at. The name sounds familiar and you're a house hunter's junkie. You might have seen an episode actually in Greenwood Village that he did a couple years ago. But anyways, Bryan and I were talking about the market, and I asked him to crunch some numbers in the figures, and we're going to bring up the chart here in a minute. But basically the conversation was, how does real estate grow? We know that year over year it's going up at a great pace. And some of those details are a little bit shaky. Now, when people think about how the market's going up, we think of it a lot of times in a linear fashion, meaning it's going up steadily over. And that's actually not true, as you'll see in the chart. So we'll actually bring that up. And what you're going to see here is that informationally, the actual growth was 9.98% year over year, based on the average sales price month over month. But what you'll see in this graph is how it swings massively up and then it kind of dips down before going back up. What's interesting is that from March to May was actually 11.3% growth month over month, meaning that that was your biggest piece of growth on appreciation. So as much as we like to think that year over year it's a steady incline, that's not necessarily true. What you'll actually see is directly after you go into those months, July through September, it actually dips back down. Why we sometimes feel like those are hotter times is because even though the values aren't as strong, you still have a large amount of buyers on the market looking at homes. So a lot of times it's more of a competitive nature. When you see the end of the year, if you're looking at that dip going back up where it starts to trend positive again, that's again a good indication that the properties are accelerating in growth. However, if you talk to a lot of people, say, well, it's a really good time to buy in the fall or in the winter, and why is that? Well, it actually feels like it's the proper time because at that point you have a lot of people that are exiting the market, that your buyer to housing available ratio is better, it's more positive. So what can you, the consumer, take away from this? Well, there's a couple key points that I can go over. Number one, if you're wanting to beat the March jump, you got to get into the game now. You got to start getting pre-qualified, and here's why. When you start the pre-qualification process, it is not instantly overnight done. Now, you can get pre-qualified just to go out and look at homes, but if you really want to get pre-approved to be as strong of a buyer as possible, that will take a couple weeks. So if you're starting on that, this is a middle of January episode, then you're looking at beginning of February where you're going out and looking for homes. You get into a 30-day contract, you're closing at the end of February or mid-March. If you wait till the middle of February, probably end of March. That's the difference in when you buy, and you would be right on that huge upswing. Great time to get into the market. When you go into that dip down, of course, again, you're going to get a better value considering what a lot of people have paid in the spring buying season. So nothing to be alarmed on there. And then the final part of the year, what's good about that? Well, simply put, it's a good time because inventory is more ripe. Even though it's a little bit of an uptrend on value, you actually don't have as much competition traditionally in writing offers. So for folks who have large down payments, if you have 50% down, buying in that March, April, May timeframe is a great time because the reality is you're the offer a seller wants. They want the big down payments. They want the perfect credit. They want the cash offers, as much cash as possible. But for someone who's using down payment assistance, maybe my 1% down program, you may not have the offer that is as competitive. And that's where it starts to get frustrating for buyers out there. So starting right now, getting into it earlier could help you beat that spring rush. Of course, afterwards, then you're looking at also having a good period after the spring rush to buy. But keep in mind, the real estate would have already gone up enough value that a $400,000 house now may be $425,000, $440,000 after the buying season. A $300,000 house, $360,000. That's what 10% growth would do. So some things to think about. Huge shout again to Bryan Zerr with Greenwood Estates. His information is going to be in the comments below. If you need someone to represent you on your home search, reach out. Bryan's a great man and enjoy working with him. As always, if you need help on the financing side, please give me a ring. I'm more than happy to help you on that as well. We love helping home buyers. But otherwise, hopefully this gives you a better idea of what the market looks like in Denver as we speak. I think it's going to be a strong year for real estate. We still have a large amount of people coming to Colorado, a lot of people trying to beat rent by buying now. And if you want to be on that same side, I suggest starting that a little bit sooner than later. Put any questions, comments below. Again, like, subscribe, follow. Keep getting this information delivered to you. Otherwise, thanks for watching this episode of How Much Mortgage Can I Afford?